2. Welcome to our podcast, The World According to Lisa.
And Jim, too.
Today's episode is Take the Cannoli and Fix the Plot. I'm Lisa Dolan, author of The Brooklyn Witch, and today we're getting into it.
And I'm her faithful Irish-Italian companion.
We're talking about plot versus
Pretension.
I was going to let you say pretension,
Oh, thank
so that's
you.
why I left a little...
It's almost like we're a team.
All right, we're talking about plot versus pretension, why continuity matters more than people think. And that moment we've all had when you're watching something and you suddenly go, wait a second, that's not the book I read.
Right. After I read Reacher, and then I went to the movie, I said, Reacher isn't 5 feet tall. How'd that happen?
So we're going to be getting into TV tropes, storytelling misfires, and yes, maybe even wander a little into the never, never along the way. So let's start with something that drives me a little crazy. Plot versus pretension. I know you talk about this all the time, Jim. There's a difference between depth and pretending to have depth.
Right. Sometimes things are all about the surface. It's just about the style. And sometimes people get a lot of points for that. They love the style. They love the way it looks. And that's what they think is great. And they don't really have too much of a plot. Or if they have a plot, it's a plot that's so hacked that you've seen it 1,000 times.
And the audience feels it immediately.
Right. I mean, you get bored. I mean, if you have extremely beautiful actors and, people are oohing and ahhing over that and they love it, then that's okay. But it's also with everything is for an audience. Sometimes it's just not for you.
Well, plot is what carries you. It's the spine.
Right. It's what people want to have.
It makes you turn the page or keep watching.
Right. Plot, going back to Homer, is something that people want to follow along with and learn about. And
why should they care?
Right. They want to follow a story. They just don't want to look at pretty things. You can look at pretty things. That's also valid, but it's not for me or you or anybody with a brain in the head. But that's not here to there.
Again, a good story doesn't need to announce that it's meaningful. It just is.
Right. I mean, you don't have to keep saying, hey, pay attention to this. This is important.
Right.
It's got to be organic. It's got to flow from the story, from the characters, from the situation. It's not. And then sometimes you see something that's just plopped right in the middle of that. And you say, where'd that come from? That's had nothing to do with what went before and what went after.
Yes.
And there's a lot of different reasons for that to happen. Maybe in your book, you said, oh, whoa, I forgot to write about the person's father. Let me write a whole 3 chapters about the fathers and the relationship of the father and the son. Well, if that was so important to the character, that should have sort of been in from the very beginning. That's that's one of the things about writing we found is that you don't know where you're going to go when you start.
Some people do. Some
Right.
people have an outline. They have it all written out. And they know exactly what that book is going to do, how it's going to perform.
Right. And that's a formula, and formulas are fun. I mean, formulas are fine. There's a Hallmark formula. There's a cop show formula. There's a soap opera formula. Formulas are all the time in everything that we do. But if you want to shake it up and make it a little different, sometimes you can make something unique and fun, and that's what we hope the Brooklyn Witch is.
Yes. So, continuity, it's not optional.
Right. Continuity, when it's broken and destroyed, you see it all the time, and you notice it, but maybe you don't notice it. But because we're paying attention to story and plot versus the pretension of it, we say, wow, look at this, Chicago fire. They roll up into the fire in snow, the snow 6 inches deep. And then when you got to the firehouse, there's no snow, and they're walking around in shirt sleeves in the same day. How'd that happen?
Right.
It's like just ridiculous. You can't take it seriously, which is okay sometimes because not everything needs to be taken seriously.
And I just feel that if a character behaves one way in a scene, this is what I watched in continuity. They can't be completely different in the next without a reason.
Right. If they grow and mature or change for a reason, that's certainly...
That's how the character, their arc.
Yeah, that's the essence of storytelling. You want to show up how we get from A to B, right? But sometimes there's a total change in the person's personality or perspective or actions, and you'll say, that came out of nowhere. How'd that happen? And that's just being a hack. You you can't just decide to change things. Like one of the things about the Brooklyn Witches, we didn't want to fall back on the crutch of magic and say, oh, this happened, but it's just magic, and we're going to fix it with magic. And
Right. Magic's not going to solve a problem. You can't use magic. I didn't use magic to solve problems.
well, it's not a get out of jail free card. If you put yourself in a position
Like,
where
oh, I don't know how to finish this
Scene,
chapter.
right.
Let's just use magic so it clears it all up. No.
right, you want to have a natural progression, and it has to have an internal consistency in what you're thinking about, what you're saying, and in the world you're presenting.
Right. The rules of that world, if they suddenly change, the audience is going to feel it.
Right. Or if it changes, it's certainly valid for it to change, but you have to have a reason or an indication of why that happened. For instance, the two grandmothers, Nona and Granny Meg, they don't like each other for 40 years. They've been at odds. They can't all of a sudden become best buddies and,
Right.
and hang out together and,
Let's go for coffee.
say, hey, let's go have a glass of Guinness and a cannoli. That'll be fun. No, that's not the way it works.
Not happening.
But they can get together because they love their granddaughter.
Well, they always come together. Right. And in the book, they do come together because of the love of their granddaughter.
Right. And even their rivalry is put aside because they need to help their granddaughter because of an external threat. So they do put the differences aside.
Like I love the scene at the park.
Right.
The Valentino Park.
Yes, Valentino Park is where you can see the best. If you're in New York City or in Brooklyn specifically, the best place to see the Statue of Liberty is in Valentino Park in Red Hook. And they film a lot of shows there. And you just stand, you can almost feel like you can reach out and touch the Statue of Liberty.
Do.
It's so close. It's like, holy cow.
You can take fun pictures there. It's a nice photo op.
It's beautiful. And we put a scene where the two grandmothers are sitting on a park bench arguing about the whole situation. And
she's sitting in the middle of her two grandmothers. It's
right.
fun.
Yes. So she's trying to, mediate it, but also get both of them to help her and not squabble instead of keeping their eye on the prize and making sure they do what they got to do.
So if that scene was set back in time, like Game of Thrones, and there was a Starbucks coffee cup sitting on the park bench, it would kind of throw the audience off, don't you think?
Yeah, well, that's a very egregious example of an anachronism or a lack of continuity. But the continuity that we're talking about sometimes is what we mentioned in the beginning of the book should be true at the end of the book, or at least throughout the book in some way, unless there's a reason for it to change. And Lisa was very careful to go back and make sure that happened. And
when I explained to you how the Never Never works in a certain way, or that the Fae operate under certain rules, I have to honor that. And I do honor that, because the second I break that logic without any reason, the magic stops feeling real.
Right.
Once the audience stops believing, spell's broken.
You want to keep it on a plane where you want to keep it on a plane where it seems reasonable and believable, but also fantastical. So that, yes, they believe in crazy stuff. They believe at one time, whenever you wish, she's in a place and whatever she wishes for happens immediately.
Oh my God, that's my favorite. I don't even want, if you didn't read the book, I don't want to spoil it. But
well, you're not spoiling it if you tell a little bit.
She's in the green room. She's in the green room, and anything she wants in her life is there.
Right.
It's like this closet, this never-ending closet.
Right.
Infinite closet of everything she wants.
Basically, it's Jennifer Tilly's closet.
Except who wants the broken teddy?
Yes, but because we watched The Real Housewives last night, so that's on our mind. But the
Gucci teddy bear.
Yes,
bag. It fell on the floor and cracked.
Right, and
Teddy's broken.
She's able to she's in a spot when she's in this spot that she can get anything she wants. And of course, what does she think about, Lisa?
What does she think about?
Food.
Oh yeah,
because she's doing magic and she's hungry.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jennifer Tilly. That's why.
Jennifer Tilly also thinks about food because
but I had no.
She made a big plate on hors d'oeuvres. She's the only one we see eating.
I know. She's so real. I love you, Jennifer Tilly.
She's a real person. So
I want you to be Speranza.
Yes.
Ooh, let me just add that in right now. If you're listening to this podcast, or if your friend is, we want you to be Speranza.
Yes, I think you would be great.
Just as another person.
Yeah, one of our top.
We have a top 3.
Yes, that we think would be wonderful. And that's the thing. When you write a book or you read a book, don't you cast it in your mind and say, oh, I'm reading this book and I think this person would be perfect for it. For example, I'm a big fan of Robert B. Parker. So he has a detective in Jesse Stone that he wrote about 50 books about, right? And the way he describes him is one way. Then who decides to buy this franchise, which is what a lot of actors do. They pick out a franchise of a writer who has quite a few books, and it's a great thing for them because there's so much detail and so many plot devices and so many things they can take for their show. They're not depending on a writer to come up with something. So the way they describe him, who buys the book?
Who bought it?
Tom Selleck, who looks nothing like how he describes him. He's described as a short, wiry guy who plays shortstop. That's not Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck's a first baseman. He's like.
But he wanted that role.
He wanted that role. It's a juicy role. It's really good. And he made a lot of movies that were pretty successful. I don't know.
We watched them, didn't we?
Yes, of course we did. But the thing is, well, at least I watched them. You fell asleep.
All right. But I was there with you.
You sat through them, let's put it that way. But when we look at a book or something, we say, oh, I think this guy would be perfect. And we do that all the time when we're reading. We say,
now
no.
we're working on Sean. Like, once we figure out who Speranza is, then I think it would be easy to figure out who Sean would be.
Well, one of the things we do is like when we watch Hallmark, because we love Hallmark, is that we say, wow, there's no chemistry here. This is ridiculous.
Oh, yes.
It's like it's
Except
brutal.
that new show that we've been watching.
Right.
1874.
Hope Valley. Yeah, it's a very good show if you have a chance to check it out. I think it's.
Chemistry between those two leading characters is great. I love it.
And here's the thing.
And it's believable.
Right. And they took the Hallmark formula, right, and they adapted it and made it a little grittier, a little bit more fun. But for an example, the woman, I'm going to blow a plot point right here. I don't care. She's worried about somebody following her and wondering, what did she do? Was she a criminal? Did she steal money because she had money to buy this boarding house?
I kept saying it's Hallmark. It's
right.
Hallmark. She's not a wanted criminal. It can't be. It's
so
Hallmark.
Her husband had died and she has a little daughter. And I said to Lisa, you know what this is? The parents want the daughter. And they're going to try and take the daughter away from her. And then sure enough, like 10 minutes later, she reveals that. And I said, well, you knew that was going to happen.
Yep.
She's just lucky she didn't fall out of the top floor of the boarding house into a buggy and get squashed. That's a different story if it's the rookie or SWAT or something.
Right.
Yeah, but just as an aside, do you ever watch a show and you notice that they killed 37 people in one day and how the person works? Like I've been watching Tracker.
We stopped watching Will Trent because of that serial
killer. Of all the violence, yes.
I think how many people died in that episode?
It was like 16 people died in one.
Like just the waitress, they went into the steak restaurant, the steakhouse, and everyone just got killed one after. I was like, you know what? I don't need this violence. I do not want it in my brain. I have enough of the world. I don't need it when I'm watching entertainment, during my prime time.
Right. And here's the thing. What's the trend now is what they do is they like to pick a novelist who has a lot of books. They do it in England too with Vera and Shetland and shows like that. They find a novelist that's written several books and they have a lot of wealth of material. So one of the ones that they have is Tracker, right? The guy wrote some pretty good books. Mm-hmm. They took
Not
that.
Not everyone knows that these TV shows are from books.
Right. Not everyone follows it, so they then go back and read the books after they find out about it. But for example, Tracker, 2 episodes ago, what does he do? He finds this armored car heist, and they all have machine guns, and he has one pistol, but he kills 8 guys. So, and the whole thing about Tracker makes no sense. I'm going to rant for permission for ranting for
permission
2 minutes.
Granted.
Okay. Here's a guy that goes to 50 states. In every state, he has a gun. He has a carry permit. That doesn't work. You can't get it. It doesn't transfer. Okay, you can't have a carry permit in California and you can use it in New York. It doesn't work that way. Then he kills 50 people and then he walks away. And the next day he's like in the diner having coffee. No, you're in jail. They're checking you out. They're looking up your butt to see what you did, who you are. Why did you kill 50 people? How did you know about an armored car thing? No, it doesn't work. You kill one person, your life is over. So that's what we call suspending disbelief.
Yes, we talk about the different levels. Is it Eiffel Tower height that you're suspended? Is it Mount Everest?
Is it the Artemis? How do you say that? Artemis space shot?
Artemis 2?
Yes. You're on the dark
The
side.
space shuttle?
Oh yeah, you're on the dark side of the moon with that one. It's like, yeah, I don't really think this could be that you can stop an armed car heist with one pistol and kill 6 guys with machine guns.
Now, in the books, did you ever read the Tracker book?
I read one of them, yes, and it's pretty well done. But
Is it like the TV show?
no, it is not any level of violence that they have there. It's more cerebral, and that's the problem with.
They preserve the soul of the story.
They got parts of it, but I think the whole conflict with his parents and his father needs to be more prominent. They're bringing it back at the end of the season, but that informs everything that he does, really. And when you look at a book, and you can do a lot more with the internal monologue of the person than you can do in a show, because in a show there has to be exposition and you have to explain what's going on.
Like, what is the show that we're watching with the narration?
That's Bad Monkey.
Right. So they cannot give you all the information. So there has to be a voiceover during the whole show.
Right. But what happened is this is a particularly good adaptation of a style. So Carl Hyson is the guy that wrote it, and he writes about Florida. Florida is as much of a place as is Brooklyn, like the Florida Man stories. It's all about Florida.
Florida Man.
And how crazy it is and how messed up it is and all the craziness that goes on in Florida. And he really shows that to you nonstop. And it's a vibe, and just like in Brooklyn, we try to do it a vibe in Brooklyn, and living in a Brooklyn neighborhood with the mob, the way it used to be. It's changed a lot since then, but that's what we're trying to bring in and what we're doing. So it's hard to read a book and then think in your head that this person is going to be the character, and then someone totally different gets it. And you're like,
or what about the problem that happens when the adaptation of the book, all they do is keep the title, maybe the name of a character, but they lose the whole emotional core of the book.
Well, sometimes they just want to buy the characters' names and then they make up their own story.
Who did that? One of the brothers. Somebody, I can't remember the name.
One of the brothers.
Yeah, they have brothers. There's a whole bunch of them.
The Baldwins? The Carradines?
No, it's the other one.
The Smith brothers, they invented the cough drop.
I think I could use a cough drop.
Yes. They said, you wanted to do cherry, I'm doing lemon. Did you ever have the cherry one?
It was one of the,
The best thing about the Smith Brothers cough drop was when you were a kid, you used to put it in your pocket and they'd all melt together. And when you pull it out, there'd be 10. You say, I'll take all 10. I don't care. I'll stuff all 10 in my mouth.
Take the one that has all the
and you're
dust
like
on
a
it.
chipmunk when you go into the house and you must say, what the hell are you doing? They said, well, it's a cough drop. No, it's 10 cough drops.
Yeah. Or the other ones. Oh, wait. The ones that are squishy. Remember those?
No, which
There
ones?
were 2 cough drops.
Ludens?
Ludens, and then the other ones were
Smith
like
Brothers.
Smith Brothers. There was 2 of them. One was chewy and one was hard.
Smith Brothers were hard. They weren't chewy.
There was another one that was chewy. It looked like like an oval.
I think that was just a bad cough drop you got from Noel that had been sitting there for 20 years.
If anybody knows,
melted.
please put it in the comments.
You went into Noel. No, you got a cough drop. Yeah, here, it's under the chair.
So Blue Blood's brother.
Donnie Wahlberg and Marky Mark.
Yes. One of them bought the name.
Oh, yeah. One of them bought a Spencer book and totally switched it and just destroyed it. And
they just took the name of the character.
Yeah, he took the name of the characters and they just changed everything about it, everything about Spencer that has 70 books.
So that's not the book I read.
Right. But Marky Mark said, hey, I want to be the star of this particular franchise. Just like Tom Selleck with Jesse Stone, it doesn't fit. But that's okay. I mean, it's all valid. I tell this Lisa all the time. Elmore Leonard, who's one of my heroes, who's the author of the books that became Justified on television, said when they asked him, because they made a movie about one of his books, Mr. Majeski with Charles Bronson, and they said, it's kind of different from your book. What about that? He said, hey, they paid me. My book is my book, and it'll always be there for people to read. And they want to make something different. That's okay. As long as they pay me, I'm good. So Hollywood, as long as you pay us, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're casting Speranza O'Rourke and you want to make it, I don't know.
No. Just try to keep it. I'm attached to. I'm sorry. Don't even throw it out there.
I'm attached to money, so we can discuss how much money it'll cost us to make Millie Bobby Brown Speranza.
And I like that they put the little QR code on the screen. I think it was Amazon Movies. If you want to read the book.
Yes, that's great.
It puts the little barcode there so that you could just buy the book.
Right.
And then you could find out what was really written
And if you're watching
and how much fun it was.
if you're watching Scarpetta and you do that, and then you're going to go up and punch Nicole Kidman in the face.
Yes, I had to shut that off. I couldn't watch the cutoff of the body.
It was
parts
terrible,
anymore.
but it's such
even if it was flashbacks, it was constant. One time, okay, you see it. It's
no, you're talking about the dead body with the legs cut off.
Yes, I didn't even want to say the words to make it real in my brain again.
Well, that's the problem.
If I have to put my hand up in front of the TV screen 20 times, then I don't want to watch that show.
Yeah, it turned us off. And I was a big Kay Scarpetta fan. I had read all the books when they came out. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you kidding me, right? How did this happen? So we lasted one episode and we punched out.
There was just too many cuts back to the body.
Right. And it also is foolish, basically.
I don't want to see it in my dreams.
Right, and they used a lot of flashbacks when they went back, and they had different actors. But that's the new thing. They have different actors playing the same character back in the day.
Really, I mean, you can't turn away. All of a sudden, you're like, well, "Who's that?"
Well, sometimes it works, like in Monarch that we watched.
It worked, except a couple of times.
Kurt Russell's son.
I missed the 2 weeks ago.
Right. Well, Kurt Russell's son Wyatt plays him as a young man.
He really does.
He does a good job. Right,
really
and he
did.
does look like his father, and he acts like him.
And it totally worked.
Except he has blonde hair, but that's another story.
Yeah, but it worked.
Yeah, it's okay. So I think that's better than de-aging the person, because when you look ridiculous like Robert De Niro did it, and he was in The Irishman,
When
and
they AI'd them. And
they AI'd him and make him look like he's supposed to look like he's a young guy.
He's a little baby.
He's not. You know.
They just did that to, what were you watching with the kid, with the scientist? We just finished it. Oh, the chemistry something?
Yeah, the one with Brie Larson.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the...
I forget the name of it. We watch so many shows, who remembers? But
No, we just finished the series.
Yes, I know. It went out of my head immediately. I was worried about...
But the character, they showed him young.
Right, Calvin was the character, her boyfriend.
No. The guy that was going to...
Oh, yes.
Lawyer. He played
Yes.
the lawyer.
Yes.
Jim has to guess all the names. I don't know all the names of everybody, so I have to
Bo
I have
Bridges.
to play like the $10,000 pyramid and
Yes.
give him all clues. Yes,
Bo Bridges plays a lawyer that we see him now in Matlock, but he's like old now, and they made him younger.
And it looked like a weird AI baby.
Yes, it was quite unsettling. It's like, ooh, that's not true.
When he got out of the car, I cracked up because it was just funny looking.
I said they
But
just.
it's a good show if you want to watch that. It's called The Chemistry something.
Yeah, you're going to remember. That's going to happen.
Remember. But she was good. I liked her. She ended up getting a cooking show, but she talks about the chemistry of the food and how it works.
Right.
We'll put it in the comments. So you don't have to look it up, Jim.
I'm looking it up.
All right, he's looking it up. Well, anyway, continuity. Let's just go back there for a second.
Right.
I remember when we were filming Big Brooklyn Style every day, one of the PAs would take like a picture of us when we weren't paying attention. They were the most horrible pictures, the continuity shots, to see what you were wearing that day. So that if they had to edit whatever, they knew this is what you wore on Thursday when we were filming this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all horrible photos because he would come and just sneak up to you and just snap a picture.
Right.
I'm trying to entertain the people while you're on your phone.
Lessons in Chemistry, it's called.
Lessons
with Brie Larson.
in Chemistry.
Yes, they would take a picture. Of course, Lisa always wants to look perfect, which I don't really care. He would take a picture of me and said, "Hey, I'm wearing different underwear than before. Does that matter?"
All right.
And they, that's one of the things that's part of continuity. But continuity actually has.
I was just entertaining the audience while you were on your phone.
Okay, I'm shutting my phone off again, so you don't yell at me.
You don't have to. It's on off. So,
Well, continuity is as we said, it goes not just in the storyline, but also in the characters' perceptions and the character's attitude.
mm-hmm.
You don't want them to change on a dime, unless there's a reason.
Sometimes you're at the point where you're not watching the story you fell in love with, and you're watching something
Totally different.
totally different.
Right. And you don't get why.
And you may disconnect at that
Right.
point.
Well, Justified's a good example. What they did is they took the story of Justified, Raylan Givens, and they amplified it with his rivalry and friendship and quasi frenemy relationship with Boyd Dowler because the two actors had such great chemistry, and that really made the season and the show amazing. But what was interesting, and of course this is an Elmore Leonard story, they wanted to do more, but he had only written 2 books. He actually went back and wrote another one after that, which was unusual because
the author wrote the 3rd book.
Right. Well, the author went back and wrote a book after it was on TV because he wanted to take the characters and take some of the things they wrote about in the TV show, and he incorporated that into his book. Then they decided...
That's amazing.
But then they did something which I thought was great because Elmore Leonard is a great author. He probably has 60, 70 books out of different detective stories and mysteries and things like that. They said, we're going to take Raylan Givens, the hero of Justified, and we're going to put him in another book in Detroit where it had a whole different character, different name, everything, but we're going to transpose the characters and put him in there. And they had another Justified series that was great. So I think that they could do that with a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could say, take this character and take him and put him in a different book and see where he ends up. It could be really crazy.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
What, can you think of an example?
Oh, Abbott and Costello go to the moon. Okay. I don't know. I mean, you could think of a different book. You have to think of a book that you like. I like Tony Hillerman that just came out, Dark Winds, right?
I like Dark Winds.
Now, Dark Winds has a lot about the Navajos, right? But if you put in another character, a detective that comes and interacts with them, that could be quite interesting. That's a crossover. And anybody that's a fan of something always loves a crossover.
Yes.
You like when one comes to another.
Well, they do it all the time on, what is it, regular television.
Right. Well, like it depends on, a lot of it is regarding the production because the production
And they want you to watch the other shows.
Right.
Too.
That's a way of getting you in. They do also what they call backdoor pilots where they start and they introduce a character and a storyline. And they say, well, if this clicks and people like it and there's buzz, we can make a book, a show, right? And what we can turn around and you can do a backdoor pilot also in a book. Basically, you introduce some characters, and then if you want to spin it off and write another book based on that character, sometimes people do that as well, you know. But then they do crossovers, and that's a lot of fun, you know, because you want to say, oh, I would love to see these two characters interact, you know. So like on the Chicago shows, they're all by the same producer, so it's easy.
Right.
Chicago
It's
Fire,
Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med.
They mix them all up, or the FBI shows or the NCIS shows. That's a lot of crossovers. One of the more interesting things that's going on is I'm a big Michael Connolly fan, and he wrote the Bosch books, which are great. And
I want to watch Bosch. Can I just tell the story?
of course you can.
I was upstairs and I was in a group meditation, and everyone's online in a Zoom.
They're arming and oohing and
we all have headphones on, and we're all listening to this guided meditation and quiet. We all have headphones on, so just think it's quiet and this person is talking you through, and it's beautiful. In comes my mother.
Like Kramer.
Opens the door. I want to watch Bosch. Everyone heard it. She woke everybody up out of their state of calm.
Yes, they went from Nirvana back to Musos and Franks.
Couldn't figure out how to get Bosch on television.
Right. So they took this author who wrote some really great books, and they said, we're going to use his character, Harry Bosch, and they made a great series, Amazon did. But who came along? Netflix, and they said, well, we're going to buy the Lincoln Lawyer books. They had made a movie of the Lincoln Lawyer, but they said, we're going to start making, a TV show about Lincoln Lawyer. But in the books, Harry Bosch and Lincoln Lawyer are Mickey and Harry are half brothers.
Now, before you finish that, I want to say something.
Yes.
The Lincoln Lawyer guy, the actor.
Yes.
I like him as the Lincoln Lawyer.
Correct.
I think he's great.
Mm.
We watched that other show, and I did not like him as that surgeon guy.
Yeah, in Goliath,
So
Billy Bob Thornton,
Right, Goliath was the name of it.
who hangs out in our favorite restaurant in Santa Monica that we went to.
Shay.
Shay J. Shout out to Shay J.
Shout out. We love the filet mignon, and he does gluten-free.
Yes. We went there in Santa Monica, and
What's in his fryer?
nothing but potatoes,
French fries, and
Brussels
sprouts.
Right. No fish, none of the other
So if you're
contaminants.
allergic to fish, you don't have to worry about anything, and it's delicious.
And he has amazing filet mignon there. So we went
Santa Monica.
2 or 3 times when we were in California visiting Lisa's brother, and it was a lot of fun. But well, I lost my train. Oh yeah, so
And we saw Julie.
yes, we saw Julie. Shout out to Julie.
Yay!
We what we did was we wanted to visit. We wanted to watch the show because when we came in, the guy said, "Oh, you saw the show," which Goliath is based a lot
Like
in
they
that.
had a big poster on the back wall.
Right. So in the show Goliath, Billy Bob Thornton goes into the restaurant all the time. So we had no idea.
Like he lived in the motel across.
I said,
right next door.
I really didn't know anything about it. I'll watch the show, but I really just wanted a good filet mignon. That's why I
we were
came.
just coming here for dinner.
So in that show Goliath, the guy from Lincoln Lawyer plays a surgeon, and what he does is he cuts the arms and legs off people and
No,
tortures them
But he puts them. He sedates them.
and talks to them
And
while
he
he's
puts
doing
them on laughing gas.
Right. So they're happy while he's cutting their arms and legs off.
And they're just. I think they wake up laughing.
Yes.
And they have no limbs. That
Yes.
I can't. I still to this day.
It horrifies her.
I can't. Then when I look at Lincoln Lawyer now, I think of that, and I don't like that. So when you pick your roles,
Yes.
understand that it could get sticky. It sticks to you.
I remember watching a show where somebody put mayonnaise on corned beef, and I just lost it. I ran out into the street screaming. It was terrible.
But ever since I saw that, that's why when you're like, oh, I'm going to put it on Lincoln Lawyer, I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that guy. I think of the people with no arms and legs.
But the reason why we brought it up is the crossover. So the crossover in the books, in Michael Connolly's
Bringing
books.
Bringing it back.
Bringing it back to the story. The continuity, that's called, Lisa. That's what you call continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So now they're in a bind because Netflix does one and Amazon does the other, and they don't get along too much.
Mm-hmm. They're like the grandmothers.
I think
Granny Meg and Nona.
I think the Netflix guy was hitting on Jeff Bezos' wife before she went out into outer space. This is just my suspicion. I don't know if it's true or not. It's allegedly.
It's a legend.
But they can't get together.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I thought you said it's a legend.
It's not a legend. It's allegedly that's what happened.
It's not the gang.
So what happened was they can't do the books, the later books, when Harry and the Lincoln Lawyer are working together. So they have to insert new characters. Like in the books, Mickey runs for the DA, and they can't do that in the Harry Bosch books because they don't own the Lincoln Lawyer. So they had to come up with a new character to run for the district attorney.
Right.
And now they turned around, and the Lincoln Lawyer, they're going to introduce his sister that didn't exist in the books at all. His sister's now going to be a character. In the last episode, they introduced her. And that's the kind of thing that TV does because they don't buy the whole book works of an author. They just buy one particular story, one particular character, one particular storyline.
Oh, but we just watched something with the long shot. The one long shot.
Oh, that was this show called The Studio, which was Seth Rogen made this. We just started. We are on an Apple TV binge, so we've been watching a lot of Apple TV.
I like Apple TV.
So this guy, it's about a studio head, and he's showing a lot of hypocrisy. It's funny.
The only reason why I thought of it is because I was saying, oh, the music that I would like in the Brooklyn Witch, I wanted to be, was my favorite.
Moby.
Yes. So I want, so it's going to be big money. Like when we had Big Brooklyn Style, and I kept singing, "It's getting hot in here, so take your franny off," and we couldn't play
Right.
"Hot in Here" by Nelly because it was too much.
Yeah,
money.
I have to pay a lot of money for the rights. So what happens is the book in that particular
I was thinking of that.
in that particular show, one of the plot devices was the woman wanted $300,000 to buy a Rolling Stone
No,
song.
$750,000 for a Rolling Stone song.
Oh, I didn't know it was that much.
I think it was that much.
Okay. Well, anyway, she wanted that money to have a Rolling Stones song at the end of her show, of her movie, and she had to cajole the studio head into doing that. So when you're thinking about the music in the book, and you would say, "Wow, this would be great. I would play this here," and then you can't because you can't lay out all that money.
Especially when it's perfect.
Yes. You could do that once, but I don't think you could do it a lot. But that's how big Hollywood productions end up costing, $200, $300 million.
Well, let's talk about TV tropes. Helpful or harmful?
Okay, some inside podcast trivia. Well,
Da-da-da-da.
we're broadcasting from the beautiful basement of the Oceanside Library in a podcast room, but right next door is the Discovery Lab. And they do this cricket stuff where they burn stuff. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't get involved. Lisa does that. I think they torture scorpions like in the Wild Bunch with the laser beam. But anyway, there's a fan that works. Okay, there's a fan that works. And it's right next to us. And if they turn that on, you can hear it. So you might have heard that in the last little segment. And so
Jim went out and it's all fixed now.
and they changed it to the other fan. Now, if there was a little pause in between the dead air, that's what that was about. Sorry. I don't think there was, but who knows? Now,
All right. Tropes aren't the enemy.
No, they're not.
They're actually tools and they exist because they work.
Right.
So you have like the mentor or the chosen one, a hidden world, or the outsider discovering who they really are.
Okay, so like and a lot of shows or even a lot of networks have their tropes and things that they do all the time. Like we always give the example of Hallmark.
Girl goes home.
She's going to go save her Christmas tree lot. But when she meets the fireman, because he's a widower and he has a young girl and a cat, they fall in love. Mm-hmm. And we know where that's going.
And we love these things.
Well, we love the familiarity. Tropes are familiar, and you fall back on it, just like cliches. People say, oh, that's a cliche. Well, cliches have a lot of truth in them, most of them. So when you say a cliche, you're just giving perceived wisdom that people know about.
But the problem is when tropes are used without intention, when they're just dropped in.
Well, when you use them as a crutch.
Or they replace a real character development.
Right. It's a crutch, So like if you turn around and you want to, it's just like being a hack, A hack will just go back and use the same thing over and over again. I know comedians say that somebody's a hack because he's just, falling back. Oh, what about the airlines? It's not, how about airline food? That's nonsense. It's like,
and then especially things start to feel predictable.
Right. And in magic and writing in fantasy, that can happen because what people do is they raid Tolkien or they raid Asimov or they raid some other sci-fi writer, and they take their tropes, they take their plots, and they just regurgitate it and redo it and rewrite it. Now, you can take a movie, even a middling movie that isn't the greatest movie ever made, and redo it and use the plots and characters. Perfect example, Kurosawa's Seven Samurai was a great movie, Japanese movie. And then what happened? That they came along and they made the Magnificent Seven. And they basically took the same plot and they used it, but with cowboys. Mm-hmm. So that's perfectly valid thing to do.
Right.
So we can make a Hallmark.
It's like an American Idol when they sing the song, but they put their own twist on it.
Right. So we can make
They made it their own.
Right. We can make a Hallmark movie where the girl goes back to the moon because...
goes to the moon.
Yes, because a Christmas tree lot on the moon is going to fail. But she meets an astronaut who has a cat.
And it just happens to be floating by.
He's just floating by. And they say, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, I spilled coffee on you. Let's get together and fall in love.
The coffee's on its way to you. It's almost a cute meat.
Yes, it's going through the air.
In the space.
Weightlessly.
It's coming.
He's trying to dodge it, but he can't. So the tropes are something that we notice and we see all the time. Like
a familiar structure.
Right. Like the veteran guy who's going to help the rookie out. Or, the opposites attract. Or fish out of water. Like, oh, how could this person survive in this environment because he doesn't know anything about where he is, We're used to that, and the familiarity is important in story writing. So when we're writing about Brooklyn or we're writing about the magical world of the Never Never, we want to hit those notes that people say, oh, I know about these particular types of fairies, but introducing new ones that they don't know about. Mm-hmm. And maybe even creating tropes that people will look at and say, oh, I never knew that. I think that's pretty cool. I want to know about the red caps and the Sylvani and the dryads, which is in book 2, which we're not going to talk about too much.
Those are fun.
Right. So
I know. I keep saying it. I'm in book 2 head.
Right.
Like I have to remember, we didn't get there yet with book 1.
Yeah, book 2 is going to be much more heavier with the mafia stuff too. So that's going to be fun.
Book 1 kind of laid everything out.
Yes. It gave us the direction, and now we're
we
on
could
the journey.
jump off from all different places.
Right. So hopefully it'll be just as good or better than the first book. I think it will be.
Well, bringing it back to the Brooklyn Witch now, for me, writing the Brooklyn Witch, everything comes back to integrity of a story.
Right.
So Speranza is who she is for a reason. Brooklyn is not just a backdrop. It's part of the DNA of the story.
It's part of her DNA.
Yes.
Yeah. And her grandparents and what they taught her and what she lived and experienced is all part of that. And her friends and her family and her husband are all part of what makes Speranza who she is.
Yes. So even with all the magic, the story still has to hold. And I think it does.
Right. Well, because really the book is about parallels. There's a parallel between the fights in the Never Never and the fights in the Mafia guys in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
There's parallels between the fights between the two grandmothers and the fight between the two queens.
Sisters.
The two queens, the sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at a parallel and you're saying, oh, wow, these all seem to be, in the human condition, you see
and
things.
we love a bookend. Is it a bookmark? A bookend? What does he say in that show? I love a bookend.
Well, I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about, but
I can't tell you because you have to read the book. I don't want to give it away.
But here's the thing. What happens in the book is
Stays in the book.
Yeah. It's all of, I'm smart, Michael. Nobody thinks I'm smart. So in the book.
That's another show.
Yes, that's another movie, actually, but yes.
And another show for us.
Yes, well, that's in book 2.
No, I mean another episode. Lines of movies.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about doing an episode and we're talking about lines of
That's
movies.
That's going to be fun. So, but I want to get some feedback from people before we record it. So.
Yeah, we would personally love some feedback. So if you guys could leave some comments or either here or at our website, thebrooklynwitch.com.
We will read them.
And at brooklynwitch.com, you can obtain the book, a signed copy.
Yes, you can. I just sent out, it took me forever to get 5 books out.
Yes. 2:00 in the morning, we were wrapping this stuff up.
But I put a lot of heart into the presentation.
Yes.
When you get the book.
Right.
So if you order it from the website, there's a lot of love that goes into that box.
And the personalized message and all of that stuff that you did. That's very true. So look at brooklynwitch.com and you can see where the book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple Books, all those different places. Or you can get it from us.
Right.
We just had an order for 30 books, which we're very happy about.
Mm-hmm.
So leave us a comment, talk about the website and the podcast, rather. And
we would love to hear from you.
And you have any ideas of what you'd like to talk about if you read the book and say, oh, I'd like to learn more about the Solvani. What's that all about?
Right. We will talk about it. We will get it in the podcast.
Yes, we can do a podcast about that. So continue, Lisa. What's the next thing you'd like to speak about?
All right. So let's see. I think.
Well,
I'm still thinking.
You were talking about
you totally threw me off of where I was going.
You're talking about tropes, and we're talking about how things recur, and we're watching a show, and we see that all the time, and you say, "Oh, wow."
I mean, how many times? All right, how many times do we watch a show and I guess what's going to happen?
Happens every day.
That's how I get bored.
Right.
If I could guess, like someone's going to 3. If I can actually do the timing.
Here's one of the things that I like. That's very interesting. When there's a 90-pound girl and she goes into a fight with a 250
6 German
mercenaries,
officers. Yeah,
and she kicks the crap out of all of them. One of the times I saw a show where the guy punched her in the face and she fell down. I said, "Holy cow! They actually showed what really happens."
I know. I saw that
because I think the writers that write these things have never been in an actual fight. Because if you hit someone, your hand hurts a lot.
Yes.
And they hit you once, you could die. You know, you're not going to be slugging it out like Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's all nonsense. That's Hollywood. That's not the way it works. But whatever.
But that's entertainment.
Yes. You have to suspend your disbelief, as we say.
Right.
So, the tracker guy can
Depends how much you want to suspend. Sometimes it's over the top and you're like, this is like too much.
Right. And also, here's the other thing. Sometimes the reality is so squalid, you don't want to see it. You don't really need to see it. Last night we were watching a medical show, The Pit, and this poor lady had to have a C-section or whatever they did to her. I hid behind the pillow.
He turned away. He never turns away. I'm the one that's always putting my hand up,
I'm not
closing
squeamish.
my eyes. Tell me when it's over. I don't want this information in my brain. I don't
Right.
want to think about it later when I'm laying in bed. And he could not watch the C-section.
No, I don't want to watch somebody cutting into a fat belly for reasons I won't explain why.
The poor pregnant lady.
But it was terrible. And that's like a reality that you don't want to actually see, but they're presenting it to you to see for entertainment purposes.
It's like, don't ever want, like, take care of yourself and don't end up in the ER.
Yes.
That's my takeaway every time I watch it.
Well, we actually were in
Take
an
your
ER.
vitamins.
When we were in Brooklyn, we went to the Methodist Hospital, and it was just like The Pit because there was a guy that was handcuffed that was screaming and banging his head against the radiator, and then there was another person. There was a drug addict coming down from.
No, I don't.
It was horrible.
Let's move
So
on.
we don't.
The Pit. Listen, they're doing it well.
Right.
There were good scenes last night in the
Finale.
and I think they're going to do well. We know they're coming back.
We didn't enjoy it as much as we enjoyed Jennifer Tilly breaking her $40,000 pocketbook, but that's another
A
story.
Gucci bag. Oh, that was horrible.
Yes.
Horrible. All right. So we could bring it back to the Brooklyn Rich again before we end this podcast. I just think at the end of the day, no matter how beautiful the world is, if the plot doesn't carry you, if the characters don't stay true, if the logic breaks, the audience is going to feel it. And then they check out. And I've checked out many times
Well,
when that has happened.
when you're writing fantasy or science fiction, okay, it's kind of important to have certain rules for the world that you're writing about and follow those rules and stay within those parameters. Don't go so far afield that it doesn't make sense or it seems a cheat or something that you're doing just to move the plot along. So we're saying, hey, it's magic. That's how that happened.
Right.
We don't, like we said, we don't want to do that. So all the fairies that work, they all have personalities and ways that they operate. But for instance, Mello, who's the Lisa described the last time, who's like a little Franciscan monk who likes to drink and have a good time and party. He turns around. He's not going to turn around and suddenly become like, a martial arts expert. That's nonsense,
He's going to do the least amount of work possible.
Yes, he's going to hide and drink underneath the table while everybody else is fighting. You know what I mean? So
unlike Hob, he'll work and work
right.
and
Well,
work.
we missed out on talking about Hob. Hob is the house. They call him a brownie, which is the particular type of fairy. If you look it up, he's a house fairy that stays in the house and cleans your house. And what you do is you feed
And he
him.
speaks with this old English accent.
Well, an archaic English accent, yes. So he does it for food, basically.
You have to leave an offering. For
So you
him.
leave him something, but
you could never. So his clothing, and we describe it in the book, short. He's short and grubby and dirty, homespun. And if you try to offer him new clothes,
he'll get insulted.
he'll get insulted and you never see him again.
Right. But you offer him food, and what's funny is normally the old time was cake and milk and cookies. That's what they used
like
to.
almost like a porridge type of thing.
Yes, because that's what they had in England and Scotland and Ireland, where these are from. But our particular guy likes Italian food.
He likes meatballs.
So we leave him meatballs.
You give him meatballs, he's very happy.
Or a little lasagna.
A little spaghetti.
Yeah, something different. But
He knows his Italian food, and now he's spoiled.
yes, and he's not going to eat anything else.
And then he knows the difference.
right. And he knows the difference between Sean's cooking and somebody else's.
Like when she does takeout meatballs versus Sean's meatballs.
Right.
So, he is a little critic.
But when you look at the different fairies and the different fae in the book, we try to make them all interesting and compatible to the particular position they present in the story, So the Shay, for example, they're very funny and peculiar. Let's put it that way.
They're mischievous, too.
Yeah, mischievous. That's a good word. And that's interesting. And the red caps are savages.
Yes, they're very mean and
Right.
smelly.
Yes. So I ain't gonna tell you who who that reminds me of.
Nice. All right. So whether you're writing, you're watching, or adapting a story, all I'm going to say is take the cannoli, but fix the plot. Because that's what people remember. That's what keeps them coming back. And that's what makes the magic last.
Right. And hopefully when you read The Brooklyn Witch, you'll know the magic is in your house and you'll have a good time. Please give us some feedback. We'd love to hear what you think about our podcast, about The Brooklyn Witch.
And enjoy the magic.
And enjoy the magic, yes.